What if I were to tell you that Ryan Trahan has been able to pull in millions and millions of views daily vlogging in 2025? This is crazy because vlogging hasn't really been that popular the past few years on YouTube because it simply can't compete with the super high effort content that creators have been putting out recently. So what does Ryan Trahan know about YouTube that no one else does? And what's his secret to pulling off this series so successfully? Well, after some digging, I found the 5 secret tricks that Ryan uses to essentially guarantee that this series will go viral. Trick number 1 is that Ryan never stops using what works. This isn't the first time that Ryan has done a daily upload series. In fact, it's far from it. Ryan has been doing different series on YouTube since 2017, and it's a style of content that continues to do well. That's why after all these years, he's still doing it. But it's important to understand that he doesn't do the exact same thing every single time. He continues to build upon this format. Eventually, he turned it into a series where he crossed America with nothing but a penny. This ended up becoming one of the most viewed YouTube series of all time, racking in nearly 300 million views. But this is where something really interesting happens, because the latest series where Ryan traveled from Europe back home to America, you know, the one after the 30-day series, actually underperformed on his channel. But why this happened is important. I think it underperformed for 2 main reasons. Reason number 1 is because the Penny series had gotten old at this point. He had done it a bunch of times and people were kind of bored of it. And reason number 2 is because it felt like a lesser version of the previous year's challenge. Although it was probably harder to film because it was farther away from home. It just didn't feel as big and exciting because it was only 7 days and not 30. These are just a few reasons to why I think the series underperformed. Well, as you can see from the current series, Ryan took all of the parts from the other ones that people liked and he rolled them over into this one, as well as innovating past the parts that people didn't like. And I think the most important part of this series is that he innovated past the Penny series. Not many people realized it, but after the Europe Penny series, something clicked for Ryan on the channel. He uploaded a video titled "I Tried 1-Star Restaurants," and this video absolutely exploded. Like, it's currently sitting at 28 million views. Ryan continued to upload and nothing did that well until he uploaded "I Tried 1-Star Hotels." And this video ended up outperforming the restaurants video and getting 32 million views. At this point, Ryan realized that people just enjoyed watching him travel around and review interesting things, like restaurants, theme parks, and hotels. So Ryan began to pump out these videos and get really solid views. Ryan had found a new format. And now this brings us to the present day where he starts a series where he goes to a new Airbnb every single day. Exactly what his audience likes to watch him do. He has simply taken multiple different things from different formats that people like to watch him do and combined them into one. All that to say, it's not a coincidence that this series is going to pop off the way it will. Speaking of using what works, you know you're actually able to do that with other people's channels also, right? You can look around and find videos that have performed well for other people and use that as inspiration to come up with your own ideas. And I think that the best way to find videos that have performed well is looking at 1of10.com. Let me tell you how it works. First, you sign up using the link in my description where you can get 50% off. Then once you're in, you just place in your filters. Like if you want to find videos that have performed 2.5 times better than the channel's average, you can find those. Or if you want to find videos that have performed really well on smaller channels, you can also find those. It's a useful tool that I personally use a lot. So yeah, click the link. Now back to the video. The second trick that Ryan uses is simply his insane title and thumbnail strategy. At the time of scripting this, Ryan's only put out 2 videos, but I'm still gonna break those down for you and let you know all of the juicy little tricks and hacks that Ryan uses to make people click on his videos. You can actually break down Ryan Trahan's thumbnail and title strategy into 4 simple steps. Okay, so step number 1 is that Ryan takes colors in his thumbnails super seriously. For example, take a look at the day 2 thumbnail. Notice the 2 main colors in this thumbnail being yellow and blue. This is not a coincidence. Ryan is using something called color theory. In other words, Ryan has chosen 2 colors that are on complete opposite ends of the color spectrum. This means that those colors are complete opposites and will contrast really well against one another. This will ensure that the thumbnail will not only pop out as much as possible, but it will also make it really easy to spot the subject. Ryan tends to use these contrasting colors in a lot of his thumbnails. In fact, if you look through his catalog, you'll find that this isn't even the first time that he's used yellow and blue as contrasting colors. You'll also find times where Ryan uses colors like red and green. Those are also colors on opposite ends of the spectrum. Color theory also works with colors that are darker and less saturated versus colors that are brighter and more saturated. Great examples of these are on the metaverse video and on the sensory deprivation video. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. Step number 2 to having great thumbnails like Ryan is the great branding behind them. People don't really realize how important this is. You want your viewers to know that it's your video when they get it recommended on the homepage. This isn't something that only Ryan does, but I still think that it's something worth talking about here. Ryan always shows his face in the thumbnail. And for the series, Ryan's keeping these little house icons on the bottom of the screen. Now, why is this so important? Well, if Ryan's going to be uploading every day, he wants to get his viewers into the habit of watching those videos every day. So it's extremely important that the viewer can tell just by the thumbnail that this is the next episode within the series within a fraction of a second so that they don't scroll past. Step number 3 that Ryan uses when making thumbnails is the 3-element rule. The 3-element rule is a rule that YouTubers use when making thumbnails that essentially states that if you have more than 3 elements in a thumbnail, it's too many. Now this one's simple, but I think it's important to talk about here. Because you have to understand, you only have a split second to stop the viewers from scrolling past your video. You can actually see a good example of the 3-element rule in action whenever you look at the thumbnail for day 2. You'll notice 3 main elements: Ryan, the missile silo, and the text above the missile silo. And yes, I know that there's an American flag, but I think that more so falls in the category of background design rather than a main element. Okay, so the 4th and final step that Ryan uses when packaging a series is that he allows his viewers to enter into the series at any point. Now, what I mean by this is that both the day 1 and day 2 titles are very similar. They're both conveying the idea behind the series super concisely so that a new viewer can immediately understand what's going on. Okay, so that you can fully understand what I'm talking about, let's take a look at another daily upload series that's super similar to this one that Ludwig and Michael Reeves did, where they traveled across Japan with nothing but motorcycles. Notice how the thumbnails in the middle of the series only pertain to viewers that already knew previously what Michael and Ludwig were doing. No new viewers are going to enter from the middle of the series because they don't even know what's happening, much less what this series is even about. Pretend you're a new viewer and you see a title like Best Meal We Have Ever Had. You would think it's like a food review video, and you would immediately scroll past without even knowing that it's a really cool series. But Ryan's thumbnails not only convey that this is a series, but also what the series is about, how far into the series he currently is. It just allows new viewers to easily join the loop. Okay, so now that we're done talking about titles and thumbnails, the 3rd trick that Ryan uses is his insane retention tactics. Like, how is Ryan gonna hook viewers for 50 straight videos? Well, let's take a look at episode 1. In the first minute, Ryan immediately gives the rules for the challenge. Like all 50 states, Airbnbs, you know, all that stuff. But as they're driving to the first Airbnb, they immediately start talking about the stakes behind the challenge. He starts talking about how hard this is to pull off and how he might actually fail this challenge. Ryan also mentions that they haven't even planned a route yet, which raises the stakes even more. Then 1 minute and 36 seconds into the video, Ryan mentions the Wheel of Doom. But he doesn't elaborate on that immediately because he wants to build intrigue for the viewers. Then halfway through the video, he finally explains what the Wheel of Doom is. And if you don't already know what it is, essentially if someone donates $50,000, then Ryan has to spin the Wheel of Doom. And on the Wheel of Doom, there's various setbacks that Ryan and Haley would have to do. This is just a great way to keep the viewers on their toes the entire challenge. People will not only tune in to see Ryan review the Airbnb that they're staying in for that episode, but also to see if the Wheel of Doom was activated. Then Ryan probably does the smartest thing imaginable at the end of the video. You see, while Ryan and Haley were about to go to sleep, the Wheel of Doom was activated by none other than Mr. Beast. So Ryan does what he has to do and he spins the wheel. Then he literally leaves the audience on a cliffhanger, essentially assuring that people will tune in for episode 2. These little things that Ryan does, though small, play a crucial role in the amount of viewership that he gets on his videos. The 4th trick that Ryan uses is the fact that he's essentially trying to add himself into people's daily routines. Now, what I mean by this is that if you're watching the series, you're probably going to develop a routine where you get up, shower, eat breakfast, then watch Ryan's video for that day. Then after a few days, you're not even gonna think about it anymore. It's now an integral part of your daily routine. Ryan doesn't need to grab your attention because he's just a part of your schedule now. Notice how Ryan's gonna upload every day at the exact same time. For me, that's 11 a.m. But this is just to help people get it integrated into their routine. This step is crucial to the success of this series. Now, the fifth and final trick that went into this series is the sheer amount of preparation that Ryan did beforehand. You'll notice at the end of the first episode, Ryan mentions that Jimmy's known about this series for 6 months. That means Ryan's been preparing this series for literally half a year. I know you're probably thinking, yeah, that shouldn't take that much prep time, right? Well, not until you consider the fact that Ryan has to come up with everything for this series beforehand, such as the Wheel of Doom, the Golden Ticket Joyride thing, rating every Airbnb. Ryan had to get his team ready to upload every day for 50 days. And probably the craziest part of this is that Ryan made every single thumbnail beforehand. That means that Ryan and his team had to come up with the idea, sketch, then do the final thumbnail for each one of these episodes. I don't know if you've ever made thumbnails before, but making good thumbnails like this are pretty hard to make. Anyways, if you enjoyed this breakdown, please subscribe. I really want 100,000 subscribers. Also, click the link in the description to get 1 of 10 for 50% off. Anyways, bye.